Namaste and good morning to all of you. Today is our Gita day. So let's do the Gita Dhyanam before we start our class. Om Parthaye Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayan Swayam Vyasen Grathitam Puran Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrit Varshine Bhagavati Mashtadashadhyayane Amatvam Anusandhame Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshine Namo Astu Te Vyas Vishal Buddhe Full Arvind Ayat Patra Netar Ye Natavya Bharat Tail Purnaha Prajwalito Gyan Maya Pradeepaha Parpanna Pari Jataye Totra Vetra Ekapanaye Gyan Mudraye Krishnaye Gita Amriduhe Namaha Sarvopnishdo Gavo Dogda Gopal Nandana Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhogta Dugdam Gita Amritam Mahat Vasudev Sutam Devam Kansa Nur Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum Bhishma Dron Tata Jayadratha Jala Gandhar Nilotpala Shalye Gravati Kripen Vahane Karnen Vela Kula Ashavatham Vikarna Ghor Makra Duryodhan Avartani So Tirna Kalu Panduvai Rannadi Kavartaka Keshava Para Share Vacharo Jamalam Gita Arth Kandotakam Nana Kyanak Kesaram Harikatha Sambodhan Abodhitam Loke Sajjan Shat Padai Rehe Pepiye Manam Muda Bhuyad Bharat Pankajam Kalimal Pradvansi Nashreyase Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Kirin Yatripat Maham Vande Paramanand Madhavam Yam Brahm Varun Indra Rudra Martaha Skunvanti Divyestave Vede Sang Pad Kramopanishade Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavasti Tadgaten Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Na Vidusur Asurgana Devaye Tasmai Namaha. So we are going to start a new chapter today. Chapter number 5. Let's revise the names of the chapters we have done so far. Check it out if you remember. Okay. The very first chapter was Vishad Yoga. Okay. Arjun got despondent. Great warrior, greatest warrior of his time, got despondent. Looking at the vast enemy, the great enemy, his own relatives on the other side. He got totally disturbed. In order to bring him back at the right place, Lord Krishna gave him knowledge. The highest knowledge, and then brought him down to his knowledge about his duty also. And the chapter's title is Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya over there means knowledge, Gyan. Then in the third chapter, he told him how to do your duty, because Arjun was afraid. I'm waging this war against my grandfather, against my teachers, against my cousins. I will incur sin. So Lord Krishna is teaching him how to be a Karam yogi. Then there's no sin. You're just doing your duty. Okay, a lot of detail about a Karam yoga over there in the third chapter. Then Arjun asked questions after questions, because now he has the knowledge also, ultimate knowledge, at least the theoretical knowledge, not experienced knowledge yet, but theoretical knowledge. What is that highest knowledge? And then Lord Krishna is telling him to do his duty. He's asking very serious questions now. So that's why in chapter number 4, the title is Gyan Karam Sanyas Yoga. Okay. And now in chapter 5, the title is Karam Sanyas Yoga. So Karam Yoga, Gyan Karam Sanyas Yoga, and the next level is Karam Sanyas Yoga. Okay, so this is chapter 5, and it starts with Arjun's question again. You can see that the deeper doubts, they do not get removed that easily. Even if the teacher is God himself. But asking the question properly and getting the answer from it, Guru, that is the Vedic way of learning. All the Upanishads are written like that. Bhagavad Gita is written like that. And other scriptures also are like that. These days we are studying Bhagavad Puran in our Monday's class. That's also a conversation between the disciple and the Guru. That's how we learn. So let's see what is Arjun's question in this chapter. But I want you to remember that Karam Sanyas is higher level than Gyan Karam Sanyas. Gyan Karam Sanyas is higher than Karam Yoga. Karam Yoga is higher than just mere Karam. Mere Karam we all do. But we got to learn to become a Karam Yogi. Then Gyan Karam Sanyasi. And then Karam Sanyasi. Karam Sanyasi. That's what we're going to learn here. Sanyasam karma nam Krishna. Punha yogam cha shansasi. Yat shreya etyo ekam tat me bruhi sunishchitam. Sanyasam, the renunciation. Karma nam, of actions. Krishna. Punha, again. Yogam, yoga. Cha means and. Shansasi, you praise. See, like a common Hindi word is prashansa, right? Shansasi, you praise. Yat means which, shreya, better. Better in the sense, more beneficial in the long run. You remember those two technical words, prayas and shreyas. Eteo, of the two. Ekam, one. Tat means that, me means to me, bruhi, tell me. Sunishchitam, conclusively. Renunciation of actions, O Krishna, you praise. And again, yoga, performance of actions. Tell me conclusively that which is better of the two. So it's clear that Arjuna, even though he has come out of his delusionary state of mind, but still clarity is not there. But there is a intellectual interest which has developed in Arjuna's mind. He wants to know deeper. So that's why he's asking. He says, on one hand, you are asking me to do the actions. On the other hand, you say that Gyan is better. Because we saw that Shri Krishna praised both the renunciation of actions and work with the devotion. So that's why Arjuna is perplexed. He thought that Karam Sanyas and Karam Yoga are opposite in nature. And that's why he is raising this question. Okay. Sometimes these doubts come into our mind also. Because we don't understand the Karam Sanyas is not doing anything, not doing your duty. So sannyas doesn't mean that run away from your duties. Okay. So Arjuna has not yet grown to be at the complete rest with himself. So these doubts are still there. But he has a complete self-confidence, and he has a confidence in his guru also. And that's why he keep asking these questions. So he's requesting Lord Krishna to indicate to him decisively one definite path of self-perfection. That means he knows that self-perfection is the goal. And he wants to know one path, not two paths, by which he can positively achieve his spiritual fulfillment. Okay? So this chapter is, this is the question. And rest of the chapter is the answer to this question. Okay. So the children of Vedas or the students of the Vedas, we have these two paths. Two paths, and we got to understand what these paths are. So renunciation of action and full participation on action are two different exercises to be practiced serially. And this is the thing. Okay, let's look at how Lord Krishna answers this question. Sanyasa karam yoga cha nishrehas karo ubhau tayo tu karam sanyasat karam yoga vishishyate. Sanyas, renunciation, karam yoga, yoga of action. Cha means and, ni shreyas karau, leading to the highest bliss. So that means the supreme goal, the bliss which cannot be taken away, highest bliss. Ubhau, both. Tayo of these two means but, karam sanyasat, then the renunciation of action, karam yoga, yoga of action. Vishishyate is superior. Renunciation of action and yoga of action. So karam yoga and karam sannyas both lead to the highest bliss. But of the two, yoga of action is superior to the renunciation of actions. Without understanding, without practicing karam yoga, you cannot become karam sannyasi. This is the message he's giving it to us. Okay. Without climbing on the first step on the ladder, you cannot be at the 10th step of the ladder. So in this verse, Lord Krishna compares Karam Sannyas and Karam Yoga. It's a very deep verse actually. Very easy to get mixed in this, the terminology. So a Karam Yogi is one who does the work lovingly, beneficially, and selflessly. So this is where we start. Our path on the spirituality starts from the Karam Yoga. Whether we are doing religious activities or social duties or personal duties, mind should be attached to God. That's the only way we can do it selflessly. If mind is not attached to God, we are doing it selfishly. If mind is attached to the fruit, we are acting selfishly. So sadhana of Karam Yoga elevates us from bodily consciousness to the spiritual consciousness. And Karam Sannyasi has only spiritual consciousness. That's a Karam Sannyasi. Karam Sannyasi is also eating. Karam Sannyasi is sleeping. Karam Sannyasi is doing the duties. But Karam Sannyasi has been elevated by doing Karam Yoga to that level where there's only spiritual consciousness. This is the difference. That's why he says it's higher. Because the type of a question Arjun asked Lord Krishna in the opening verse of his discourse, he understood the state of ignorance which Arjun was in. So that's why very clearly he says Karam Yoga is superior, if you really want to know. Otherwise, sure, ultimate is Karam Sannyas. But where you are right now, this is superior. Because you have to do this in order to reach up there. Because first step is definitely superior when we are just starting to walk. Because Arjun thought that Karam Yoga and Karam Sannyas Yoga, they are distinct paths. Okay, that's why he's asking which one is better. This is the doubt he had. So that's why Lord Krishna is very clearly bringing it to Arjun's mind and to our mind also. Because if you look at it, human beings are essentially prone to tamsikta. If somebody can feed me, this is better. Somebody can do it for me, that's better. So Lord Krishna is taking us out of that inert behavior. Because if left to themselves, the majority of human beings would demand in life food to eat with the least amount of exertion and plenty of idle hours. Haven't we seen this in the last couple of years? Government is helping. People don't even want to go to work. That is tamsikta. We are getting the food, free food to eat. People think that. From this unproductive inertia, the first stage of human growth is being awakened by activity. And it can be efficiently done when the individual's desires are whipped up. So in the first stage of the evolution, desire-prompted activities takes a person out of his mental and intellectual inertia to vigorous activities. Because Arjuna wanted to run away from his duties. He said, I'm going to sit in the jungles. He just wanted a nod from Lord Krishna that Gyan is better, so let's just go for the Gyan. So in the second stage of his growth, a person becomes tired of the desire-prompted or desire-motivated activities and feels energetic and want to spend a few hours in the noble fields with a spirit of dedication and service. That is the second. That's a sattvikta has come in there. First, tamsikta, somebody else will do it. Then desires, I want to do it for myself. Then you want to do some good also for the society. That's the evolution. So when a person is in the second stage of self-development, works with the ego subdued, with the spirit of dedication and devotion, that's how the vasanas are exhausted. Okay? Because we need to exhaust our vasanas. Otherwise, desire-prompted activities multiply our vasanas. And the first stage where there's a tamsikta, inertness, what is happening? We are submerged into the darkness. So from the darkness into the light, from the light, further light. And then comes the third stage of development. That is accomplished through meditation. That we will discuss in the next chapter. Chapter 6 is about meditation. So to summarize this, you can say that self-evolution fall into 3 stages. Desire-prompted activities, selfless, dedicated activities, and quiet meditation. If we have not done our duties, you cannot meditate. Meditation is possible only when we have done everything which we are supposed to do. So Karam Sanyas is for the elevated souls who have already risen beyond the bodily platform. Remember that. That is a Karam Sanyas. Disidentification from the body, if you can do it, then Karam Sanyas. Otherwise, it doesn't work like that. You have not reached up to that level. Karam Sannyasi is a person who discards social duties due to complete absorption in God. Okay? I mean, you got to see where it's coming from, where the light is coming from, the clarity is coming from. So Karam Sannyasi engages completely in the performance of spiritual duties. Par Vairagya, par Bhakti. The sentiment of Karam Sannyasi, you can see it in Lakshman. Even his brother, Lord Ram, he said, you are not being sent to the forest. You should stay here in the kingdom with the mothers, with your wife. What did he say? He said, More sabhi ek tum swami, deen bandhu ur antaryami. So we don't say that he did not do his duties. For him, he was above these worldly duties, social duties, personal duties. For him, it was only God and God and God. This morning, I was listening to my own Guruji's Upadesh. He was talking about our Isht Devata, who has opened these ashrams for us, Yog Sadhana Ashram. Because of his grace, we have all this knowledge. His own ancestor, one of his ancestors, was a householder. Parents said, get married. He got married. He was meditating when he got the news that you have a son. Right away, he just walked into the jungles. He said, I have done my parental duty. That's what they wanted me to do. They married me to this young lady. I have given the son. This is it. Never came back. And we see these kind of examples in our history books. Lord Buddha did the same thing. But our lower mind, the mind which does not understand, we want to criticize even the avatars, the great personalities, because we don't understand what Karam Sanyas and Karam Yoga is. So Lakshman said, you are my master, my father, my mother. More sabai ek tum swami. You are my friend, you are my everything. We sing that also every day. Tumev mata cha pita tumev, tumev bandhush cha sakha tumev. We only sing it. It's a lip service. But Lakshman lived like that. He said, I will only fulfill my duty towards you. You are my everything. So we sing this also. But every little thing happens, a little pain in the stomach or a headache, we say, we are not going to do meditation today or arti today or seva today. We get off our path very easily. Those who practice Karam Sannyas do not consider themselves to be the body. And as a result, they do not feel obligated to discharge their bodily duties. Okay? They know it's a temporary casing they are in. So Karam Sannyasi dedicate their full time and energy to spirituality. That is one difference. Full time. And the Karam Yogi, they split their time between worldly and spiritual. We are so attached to the worldly, so it's good to split first, then ultimately full time. But before Karam Yoga, no spirituality at all. It's only worldly. So that's why I mentioned those levels of evolution. So we got to look at it. Where are we? Where do we put ourselves on this ladder of sadhana? Okay. Desire prompted activities, selfless dedicated activities, or quiet meditation. What percentage we are doing? Gyeya sa nitya sannyasi, yo na dveshti na kankshati, nirdvandha hi mahabaho, sukham bandhat pramuchyate. Gyeya should be known. Sa means he, nitya sannyasi, always practicing renunciation. Nitya sannyasi. Yo means who, na means not, dveshti hates, no means not, kankshati desires, nirdvandha, free from all pairs of opposites, free from all the dualities, nirdvandha. He means verily mahabaho, oh mighty armed. That is a term used for Arjuna again and again, mahabaho, to remind him that he is a kshatriya. Mahabaho. Sukham easily, bandhat from bondage, pramuchyate, liberated, is set free. So now in this verse, he is giving us a definition for the qualities of a sannyasi, defining a sannyasi for us. He should be known as a perpetual sannyasi, nitya sannyasi, who neither hates nor desires. Free from the pairs of opposites. O mighty armed, he is easily set free from bondage. So he is giving more importance to the internal mental condition than to the external uniform. He is not saying that sannyasi wears the orange clothes or yellow clothes, or put a tilk horizontal or vertical. Nothing like that. He is giving us the mental conditions. He says he is a sannyasi who neither likes nor dislikes. Sthit pragya, mind is completely stable. No desires in it. And doesn't hate anything either. Be in the situation where you're supposed to be. And sannyasi is the one who is living in the awareness of the spirit, the soul. So likes, dislikes, success and failure, joy and sorrow, these are the pairs of opposites. These pairs of opposites are the wheels on which the mind rolls. We can see that our mind, how our mind is churning between these pairs of opposites. Because we call this experience of life. And with this experience of life, we keep on agitating our mind. I like this, I don't like this. It could be a place, it could be a person, it could be the experience. Mind is fluctuating. And our intellect is constantly registering a situation or a condition only with reference to this comparative estimate of the opposites. And we keep on putting more and more vasanas. So that's why he says sannyasi is who has risen above that, above the pairs of opposites. So again, the Karam yogi continue to discharge their worldly duties while internally practicing detachment. That's what we need to do. Do your duties internally, work on your mind. Endure the hardships also. Do not get attached to the good times either. Just go with it with the evenness of the mind. If we continue to lead our regular lives, wherever we are right now, according to our own prarabdha, and tolerate whatever comes our way, while happily doing our duty, the world naturally pushes us towards the gradual spiritual elevation. So it's the mind which we need to control. It's not that we have to do some certain kind of a work. According to our own prarabdha, wherever we are, just work on your mind more. There is a very sweet story, you might have heard about it, that illustrates this concept. There was once a piece of wood. It went to a sculptor and said, "Can you please make me beautiful?" The sculptor said, "I am ready to do that. But are you ready for that?" The wood replied, "Yes, I am also ready." The sculptor took out his tools, began hammering and chiseling. The wood screamed, "What are you doing? Please stop. This is so painful." The sculptor replied, "If you wish to become beautiful, you will have to bear the pain." That's where the term titiksha comes from, tolerance. He said, "All right, go ahead, do it. But please be gentle and considerate." The sculptor continued his work. Here and there, wood kept screaming, "Enough for today. I can't bear it." The sculptor was undeterred in his task. And in a few days, the wood was transformed into a beautiful deity, fit to sit on the altar of the temple. That's what happens to us if we totally surrender to a guru. Sure, there are pains, there are hardships, there's a lot of sadhana. But Guru promises, I will chisel out all the flaws. But we have to bear it, just like that piece of wood did. That's why Guru is considered a washerman. If you remember the old times, the washermen, what did they do? They had a long stick, a wooden stick, and they hit the clothes with that stick. Put the clothes into the hot water, into the soap. Then the clothes were clean. Guru is considered a potter also. What does a potter do? They took clay. Keep on hitting from the outside, keep on hitting it, and ultimately it becomes a beautiful piece of art sometimes. Because it's baked in the fire also afterwards. And this sadhana is baking ourselves into the fire. That's why if you make something with the soil, do not bake it. The minute you put it into the water, it becomes clay again. But if it's baked in the water, in this fire, then even after thousands of years, those pieces are there. This is what happens. Okay. This verse here states that he is a true sannyasi who has gone beyond the perception of contrast, the pairs of opposites. Like, dislike, pleasure, pain, beyond that. And this is not an easy task. That's why we got to take it very seriously. We got to make an oath of it. Anushashan. Rishi Patanjali uses the word Atha Yoga Anushashan. Take it seriously, because we want to free ourselves from the pairs of opposite to be free from all the limitations of mortal existence among the finite objects. So this shloka is given in order to persuade him, to Arjun, to us also, to keep away from the hasty dash into sannyas. Because sometimes some young people, they say, no, I'm going to become a sannyasi. Do you have this kind of a mental capacity or not? Have you risen above the pairs of opposites? Do you have any personal desires, worldly desires? If you do, work on that first. So apart from indicating the ideals of renunciation, he is indicating the revolutionary time of that end of Dwapar Yuga, where people did not understand sannyas either. Just like now also, most of the people do not understand what sannyas is. At that time also, they did not. That's why Arjun keeps asking these questions. We got to make sure we do our sadhana, because they are vasanas from endless lifetimes. Those vasanas we need to wash away before we reach that ladder of sannyas. Sannyas is to be the garb of the mind, not the clothes of the body. Remember that. It's very easy to change the clothes. It's easy to just wear white or orange clothes. It is the garb of the mind. If we wish to become internally beautiful, we must be willing to tolerate pain. Let the world do its job of purifying us. The condition we are in, the duties which we are doing, all of them have the job. Anytime we are at any place with anybody, think that this is my opportunity to purify myself. So Karam Yogi work with devotion, equipped in the result, and practice attaching their mind to God. So that means the result does come, but do not get attached to the result. Karam Yogis, when they see themselves as the servants of God, and all the actions for the happiness of God, they become fixed in the consciousness of doing everything for God's pleasure. That's what we learned in the last chapter. All those different yogis he mentioned, that means that no matter what you are doing, whether you're eating or breathing or doing any other activity, just think that you're doing it for God, and you'll keep purifying yourself. And externally, they may appear to be worldly, but internally, they are becoming sannyasis. So it's a gradual process from a Karam Yogi to the Gyan Karam Sannyasi to the Karam Sannyasi. Let's do one more verse, then we can have some discussion. Sankhya Yogo Prithak Bala Pravadanti na Pandita Ekamapi Astita Samyak Ubhyo Vidante Phalama. Sankhya, knowledge. Yogo, yoga. Over here, that means Karam Yoga. So Sankhya is the Gyan Yoga, Yoga is the Karam Yoga. Prithak, distinct. Bala, children, like ignorant. Pravadanti, say or speak. Na means not. Pandita, the wise, the learned. Ekam, one. Api, even. Asthita, being situated or established. Samyak, truly, deeply. Ubhyo, of both. Vidante, obtains. Phalam, fruit. Children, not the wise, speak of Sankhya and Yoga as distinct. Okay, so you can talk about over here. If you want to just switch the words from Sankhya. Sankhya is what? Karam Sanyas. And Yoga is Karam Yoga. Okay. So children, not the wise, speak of Sankhya and Yoga as distinct. He who is truly established even in one obtains the fruits of both. Okay. So because Arjun wanted to run away, he thought that going into the forest and meditating is better. Lord Krishna is saying, staying here, doing your duty, you will attain the highest. But do it this way, as a yogi. So Lord Krishna is continuing with his arguments in order to convince Arjun that there's no contradiction between the Karam Sannyas or a Gyan Yoga and a Karam Yoga. The path of the Sankhya or path of the Karam. This is Sankhya over here. Do not think that it's a Sankhya philosophy he's talking about. It's a knowledge. It's a Gyan. So the two methods are indicated for turning an ordinary act into a divine action of dedication and worship. Okay, you can do it either way, by renunciation of the concept of agency. Okay, because normally we think we are doing it. But if you can just rise up to that, you are still doing it, but you really don't have a kartapan. Okay, that's a Karam Sannyas. Or consistent refusal to get dissipated by an unintelligent preoccupation with the anxieties of the fruits. So this is what he is trying to tell us. So normally we know that renunciation is of two kinds. The first kind of renunciation is called Falgu Vairagya. When people look upon the world as cumbersome and renounce it with the desire of getting rid of responsibilities and hardship. That's a Falgu Vairagya. Or it's called a Shamshan Vairagya also. It's very temporary, but people think that, yeah, no, this is Vairagya. It's almost like a escapist attitude, which is very unstable. Right now we have it, and pretty soon, next moment we won't. We go to a funeral, at that time we understand. Gosh, everything is temporary. Why get attached to it? The minute we get into the car or at our home, we forget all about it. We get attached again. That's why it's called a Falgu Vairagya. Then there's a Yukta Vairagya. So Lord Krishna is talking about the Yukta Vairagya, where people see the whole world as the energy of God. This is created by God. God is everywhere. So you got to see the whole world as the energy of God and just serve God. No matter what you do, serve God. And that is very stable. So this is the technique Lord Krishna is telling us to do with a stable Vairagya. That's very effective. Okay, so we'll end the class here today and we'll start with verse number 5. So he is going to keep on building upon this. He has only started telling us the difference, but the goal is the same. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much.